Every decision has financial consequences. It's hard to look at financial literacy and compartmentalize it because it applies all across your life. It basically has to become part of you for you to be financially successful at the optimum level. One thing people often do is they miss the forest for the trees, to use a cliche. That means they look at the little things, but they're not really looking at the big picture. When you value your what you do in life, you often don't consider the cost of your time, and you often don't consider the opportunity cost. And what that means is, whenever you make a decision, there are alternatives that you could have made, and you have to consider the cost of being locked down to this one decision. That doesn't mean you can just not make a decision, because that's a decision in itself, but it means you should keep in mind what the costs are of certain avenues. With products, it could be very obvious. If you buy a really cheap toaster, and this toaster like ends up burning down your house, well, maybe that wouldn't happen with a more expensive toaster. So there was a really big opportunity cost there. I'm not sure if that's the correct use of that term, but you get the picture. So with financial literacy, obviously, habits matter a lot. For example, if you get into the habit of wasting food or of paying overdraft fees on your checking account, that's going to cost you a lot of money, and it's not a good habit at all because it can be completely avoided. But you have to make that habitual change, and that initial change takes a lot of effort. You might want to look into like the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey for some suggestions there, and The Power of Habit by Eckhart Tolle, I think his name is. Other areas I would like to cover in brief: career decisions. Obviously, what career you pick has a lot of financial consequences. The common thing people say is that nobody regrets on your deathbed having not worked enough hours, but people usually regret having not spent time with their family or having not pursued what they really wanted to do. So obviously, there are shades and shades of gray there. Everyone can't go and be a painter or some sort of artist because it can be hard to make a living in those fields. But then at the same time, not everybody has to be something they don't want to do that's highly profitable, such as the cliches of doctors and lawyers. But really, doctors and lawyers have a big upfront cost in their education as well, and so they might not be making as much money as they seem to be making. Health decisions are really important, and obviously, if you can take care of your health now, and you don't like start deciding to live healthily when you're like 50 and already have a lot of disease, then you're probably better off starting now, not later. And that can be much more important than focusing on saving a few dollars here and there. Same for education. Going to the wrong school can cost you big time. You could go to a private school that has a poor reputation and high tuition. That could ruin your finances. But if you would have tried harder and maybe put out more applications and done volunteer work, you could get admitted to a state school, and it would be a lot cheaper and possibly even more reputable. Living and housing arrangements, certain regions of the country are cheaper to live in, others, of course, but they also tend to have lower wages, so you have to balance that trade-off and think about your housing. If you live with your parents and you get in a fight with them and you have to move out, well, maybe you'd be better off apologizing and living with them. So obviously a lot of this is common sense stuff, but just because it's common sense doesn't mean that the decisions that most people make follow common sense guidelines, because they don't. Record keeping and data management. If you have a hard time keeping track of your records, there's a lot of computer programs and cell phone apps that'll help you. But if you can't find a particular receipt or a particular item that can cost you a lot, let's say you're returning something and you need to have the receipt and you can't find it, well, that just cost you, the amount that you would have got back. But then a lot of things are just knowledge based, and you have to find the knowledge by searching online. If you don't have the receipt, then go and see if they can pull it up with your phone number or your debit card or credit card. Don't just give up. So don't give up, and think about what other people are getting. And if you think like other people getting a discount or getting a better deal than you are, then ask yourself, what do I need to do to get that? Maybe I should be more assertive. Maybe I should not give up when someone tells me some customer service on the phone that they can't do something. Ask to speak with a supervisor. So there's a decision you can make that will have positive financial consequences. And that decision would be to stand up for yourself more. So be careful about purchase decisions. Don't buy items that are overpriced, but also don't buy things that are really cheesy and that would cost you more in the long run. And of course, the value of your time is important. For example, some people will drive way out of their way to save a few cents a gallon on gas. And not only are they wasting their time, but they're probably spending more money in gas to go out of their way than they're saving. So don't just go for every savings. Pick your battles and go for the things that save you a lot more money rather than just wasting a lot of time and hardly saving anything.